What's up, rock stars? Coach Betty Rocker here, and welcome to day one of the Fall into Fitness Challenge. We are kicking things off in Rock Your Life for this challenge with a strong legs and booty workout, and I'm so glad you decided to join us. When you finish today's workout, jump in and join us for the whole challenge. We are going to rock your entire body. So things that you'll need for today's workout are some weighted objects. I've got some dumbbells, and if you happen to have, the opportunity to use a barbell and weight plates, well, that's great too, though not required. The only other thing that you'll really need that will come in handy is an elevated surface. So you're gonna wanna brace your back up against something that will stay where it is. So maybe it's the side of your couch, a chair pushed up against the wall, or a bench or something like that. So grab something to write down how much resistance you use in each of these moves and how many reps you do as we go, and we will get right into this. I know you came to this workout warmed up. Of course, in Rock Your Life, we always do a warm up and a cool down stretch together. But our first move is the forward lunge. So you're gonna grab some weight that will enable you to be within an 8 to 12 rep range. So something that you can do at least 8 reps, but it's really hard to go past 12. Our first set's a calibration, so you can just take your best guess. We're gonna square our pelvis facing forward, bring our shoulders back and down into their sockets as we step forward on one leg repeatedly. And we are just going to the top of your rep range on that first side, seeing how many reps feels good with the amount of weight you chose. And don't worry if you're not perfectly within that 8 to 12 rep range in your first set. This is a calibration of some sorts, right? We're gonna go ahead and repeat the lunge as we move through this first circuit, so you've got more opportunities to practice. Keep your head and neck upright. Don't let your shoulders creep forward. Keep your core nice and braced. And as you step forward into that lunge, your knee is going to bend to about 90 degrees, and it should be above your ankle. Now make sure you switch to the other side when you get to the top of your rep range on the first side, just making note of how many reps you did. You're gonna wanna even that out. And as we step forward, that knee bends, and we've got a good amount of weight distributed in that front foot between our heel and the part of our foot behind our toes. We'll use our toes to help us push off as we come back to standing. And it's absolutely fine for the knee to go past the toes. That's a very functional movement pattern. But for today's lunges, I want you to focus on keeping the knee either lined up at the top of your toes or just behind the toes. So we're just playing around with that as we load up the weight. When you get to the top of your rep range, you've evened out the weight on both sides. Safely set down the weights that you used and take a moment to write down how much resistance you used and how many reps you did. You might be done after me, you might be done before me. When we're doing this type of training, it's very subjective to each of our own bodies. So don't worry about what I did exactly. Listen to your body, you've got this. I'm drinking some of my Rock and Restore Essential Aminos to help replenish my body as I work through this circuit. And I'm gonna set us up for our second move in the circuit. Now, move number 2 is a hip thrust. And this is where that elevated surface is gonna come in handy. We're gonna grab weights to put across our lap to help us get into that 8 to 12 rep range as we press the hips up and down. So go ahead. And again, if this move, you haven't done this move in a while or you're not sure how much resistance would be just right to put you in that 8 to 12 rep zone, just grab something that you think might work, and we'll go ahead and try it out this first set and calibrate as we go. So you might want to be using a barbell and weight plates. You might want to be using dumbbells, or you could even use a single dumbbell in your lap. We're going to put them in our hip creases and lift ourselves up into a reverse tabletop position, bracing our back against our elevated surface. And don't worry, we're not rushing here. We're still recovering from those lunges. So we can take our time setting up. Once you're ready, you're gonna lower your hips down and then drive them up, squeezing your glutes at the top. Nice job. your core stays braced, your pelvis stays level. If it's at all uncomfortable to have weights on your hip creases, try grabbing a towel and laying that across your lap to give yourself a little bit of a cushion there. Totally normal. Now, when we come up into that reverse tabletop, we want to have a 90-degree bend in the legs. So if my feet were in too close to my butt, I would have a real acute angle there for my knee, and that wouldn't feel very good. So we want to really keep our feet in just the right spot. You can play around with where they are. Now, each time you come up, you're going to squeeze those glutes. Your glutes are doing a ton of work here. This is very much a hip hinge movement, and we've got our hamstrings helping to support this movement. Count your reps as you go. You're welcome to add a little micro pause at the top of the lift if you feel that helps make it feel even more intense. And that's a great trick to make lighter weights actually feel heavier and slow you down even more as you go. Now, when you get to the top of your rep range, take a breather, go ahead and record the work that you did, and feel free to add a little bonus stretching before we move on to our second set of forward lunges. I'm just gonna do this seated ankle crossover, which helps to open up and stretch the glutes and the hip joint, which I was just training with those two moves. Now, it's gonna be important to look back to see how much resistance you used and how many reps you did as you move forward. So definitely keep an eye on that because with our next set of forward lunges, I'm going to invite you to see, where you were at. If you were, up in the higher end of the rep range, more like 12 reps, try going a little bit heavier for this second set to get yourself down in the 8 to 10 rep range for this second set. And just don't sacrifice your form, right? We want to have good, strong form here. Shoulders back and down in their sockets, core is braced, back is straight. And we're going to step forward, sink it down, and then step it back. Nice job. Now, if you're ever like a move that I'm showing you isn't feeling great, please feel free to substitute it with something that feels good for you and is supported for you. And please feel free anytime to take my free Foundations of Functional Fitness workshop. It's a 14-day workshop, and I go through different primal movement patterns for things like deadlifts, squats, lunges, all the different big moving exercises, your rotator cuff, pushing and pulling foundations, to help you just have a little time to just go over some of the key things to pay attention to in your body. So that might be helpful. Feel free to use it. I know you're switching sides when you get to the top of your rep range for your first leg. Keep up the great work. Keep your head and neck aligned with your spine. Don't let your shoulders creep forward. Step forward and then step back to your start position, being mindful of your knee alignment. Great work. When you get to the top of your rep range, you're going to safely set aside your weights and record the work that you did. When I say safely set aside your weights, I mean you want to keep your weights in close to your body. You can do that by dropping down into a kneeling lunge. You could come into a low squat. You could set them down on something that's a little higher up. The point is we don't want to round our back and drop weights, as this can strain the lower back. Whew. Cheers to you, and thanks for coming to day one of the challenge. This challenge, we're so looking forward to this one. So much fun. We have so much fun stuff in store to help you progress, get stronger, get fitter, get faster. So the last set of hip thrusts you did, you wrote down how much resistance you used, and that was our first set. Whatever amount of resistance you used in your first set, I want you to add a little something to that to make it a little more challenging for yourself if you can. And if you don't have anything heavier to use, or you're not quite ready to move up, well, I'm gonna invite you to add those pauses at the top of each hip thrust to make your lighter weight feel even heavier. So let's set ourselves up for success, and we're gonna do this set together and get a little bit more information for our bodies about what we are able to do today with the weight that we have available in that 8 to 12 rep range. So go ahead and set it up on your hips, drive your hips up and lower back down. Great job. Count your reps as you go. Now, just because I say 8 to 12 reps doesn't mean you stop at 12. If you can do more reps, do more reps. The goal is to really fatigue your body and fatigue those muscles. And we're about to do a drop set, and that's going to really come in handy, knowing how much resistance is going to be right for you to start the drop set with. So we're doing this, what I call a bonus transition set right now, where we're ramping up the challenge to our body from our first set, which is really a calibration set, right, to this set where we're just sort of finding out how much more could I use to still be in that rep range. And then we're gonna do the drop set, and you'll see exactly how much fun that is. Now, when you get to the top of your rep range for your transition set, you're gonna set aside your equipment and take a breather, record the work that you did, and take stock. So if you are in that 8 to 12 rep range now, for sure, that's great. Now you've had 2 sets to really calibrate an amount of resistance for the hip thrusts that works for you. So here's how the drop set works. We're gonna start with the heaviest amount of weight that we can manage for a 6 to 10 rep range. So you're going to consider what you've just learned in your last couple sets of these and load up even more if you can, or add more pauses at the top of your reps to get yourself so that you cannot do more than 10 reps with the amount of weight you're going to choose. And you're going to have nearby 2 more amounts of resistance to easily, quickly grab without taking any rest. So we're going to get to the top of our rep range for the 6 to 10 rep set. Then we're going to grab our next level of weight down a little bit lighter and do as many reps as we can. Then we're going to grab one last set and do as many reps as we can with that last and lightest amount, which also could be body weight. So set yourself up so that you have your heaviest set that you're going to work with nearby. And it may be that in your last transition set, you did 10 reps at the top of your set. So that could be the perfect amount of weight to start with, right? And one fun way to really make this effective is to just really tune in to the muscles that we are training. We're just gonna set ourselves up with excellent form. We're gonna have our options that maybe are 20 to 30% different between all of them. And if you're working with dumbbells, those might be like, 5-pound differences between each set that you've got. We'll start out with our heaviest set. Get ready, here we go. Powered up and lower down. Remember that you can add that pause at the top to really create more time under tension for those hard-working muscles, which is going to make any lighter weights you have feel heavier. Great work. So we're going to be working with drop sets throughout this entire challenge. And once you master them, I think you are going to love them. They are one of the most popular things that we offer in Rock Your Life circuit training. People love them because they see really fast improvement in their strength and endurance. And it's also just a really fun way to challenge yourself, a great way to work on your form. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling this. Now, when you get to the top of your rep range with that heaviest set, which might be before or after me, I want you to set it aside and right away grab your next set down and go right into your next set. You're gonna do as many reps as possible with that next weight down. Do not compromise your form. You're gonna really work on having that same excellent form, so making sure that our feet are out far enough so that we have a nice 90-degree bend as we come up into that reverse tabletop position. Woo! Feeling it. This doesn't have to be super fast either. We're not, jackrabbiting through it. What's fast is the recovery. We're not taking any real recovery between our sets, which is why it's a drop set. We're just dropping down in weight, and we are recruiting every last fiber in our muscle tissue that is working here. Oh my gosh, I did way less reps than I thought I was going to be able to do on that second set. And now, whenever you're ready, you're going to drop it down to your lightest amount of resistance, which also could just be your own body weight, and rep out your last and final set, as many reps as you can. Oh my gosh. And at this point, you will be feeling it. Like, you'll be feeling pretty worked. You'll be feeling pretty fatigued in those muscles, and just push it till as many reps as possible. And we're just gonna write down the work that we did when we get to the end. Great job. And it's okay if you don't have it memorized exactly how many reps you did with each of these drop sets. You'll know how much resistance you used. Oh my gosh. Woo! When you get to the top of your reps for that final set and the drop set aside your equipment, make note of what you did. That was just fantastic. Cheers to you. Catch your breath. We'll take a moment to stretch it out. And with the drop set, of course, we didn't take any recovery, but in between our moves, typically we do take a little bit more recovery because we're wanting to go into our next set recovered, allowing our body to output as much as it can for our next set. And we do have one last set of forward lunges to do, and we're going to reference back to the amount of resistance we used and the amount of reps we did in our last couple of sets so that we can either meet what we did before or even go beyond it, going either a little bit heavier or maybe a little slower to really maximize our engagement and recruitment of those muscles, which helps them get stronger. Great job. So when you feel sufficiently rested from your hip thrusts, go ahead and take a look back at your tracking sheet and set yourself up for this last set of forward lunges. We're gonna choose the right amount of resistance to get us into a 6 to 10 rep range for our last set. I did promise you that we were going to progress through this circuit. So 6 to 10 reps is your challenge for this one. And I'm gonna start with my right foot stepping forward. Pelvis is nice and square, stepping back with control, keeping the core braced. And each time I step forward, I'm really bracing through my entire foot, and then I'm using the assistance of my toes to push off. Nice. Don't forget to breathe. Don't rush these. You are building strong legs, a strong core, and you are integrating all of these other muscles together with your leg movement patterns as you do these challenging single side moves. Great work. Stepping forward and back. You got this, rock stars. Come on. Finish this strong. Beautiful job. Evening out your reps on both sides, being very mindful of your form and alignment. I know you set yourself up for success with this last set in the work that you did coming into it. And when you get to the top of your rep range for that third and final set, safely set down your weights, record the work you did, and we have a fun second circuit to rock before we complete today's workout. So give yourself a breather, stretch it out, have some water or some Rock and Restore aminos. And we will set up for our first move in our second circuit, which is squats. A great move to strengthen our quads, our back, core, glutes, calves. It's a great total lower body movement. Now, for your first set of squats, 8 to 12 is a perfect rep range to start in. You might want to use a barbell, you might want to use dumbbells. You could hold them at your sides or put them up on your shoulders. If they're up on your shoulders, they should be resting their weight on your shoulders. Our feet are going to step a little slightly wider than hip distance. You may have a foot that ducks out a little more than the other. We brace our core, send our hips back as if we were going to sit down onto a chair, and then we press the earth away from us as we come up. Knees track in alignment with toes, and our core stays braced. Our back stays very straight. So it's not straight up and down. It leans, right? And different body mechanics and different lengths of our body parts are going to determine the angle of our lean. But what I want you to really pay attention to is that from the crown of your head down to your tailbone, it's a fairly straight line. So you don't have an arched back. You don't have a rounded upper back. Your core stays braced to help straighten out your lower back. You're protecting yourself in this way. See if you can even lift up through your toes, keeping your weight evenly distributed between your heels and the front parts of your foot without being forward on your toes. When you get to the top of your rep range, you can safely set down your weighted objects and take a breather. We're gonna do some calf raises to help strengthen our ankle joint and knee joint because of course the calves cross both of those two joints. And in our next lower body workout a little later this week, we're gonna be strengthening the front of our calves. So you're gonna be getting a lot of ankle strengthening in this particular challenge, along with total body strength that's balanced in every way. That's always my goal for you. Make sure you record the work you did for those squats. And we'll move on to calf raises. So for your calf raises, just gonna find some weights that you feel might put you in the 8 to 12 rep range in any first set. It's always a calibration, right? So shoulders back and down. Weights can be on your shoulders or at your sides. Feet face forward as we lift and lower our heels. Now you may find right away that the amount of weight you grabbed was too light or it feels too easy. In those cases, you can lift and hold at the top if you can, or you could also switch to single side calf raises where you kickstand one toe in front of you, helping to give you balance, and then you lift and lower with the single heel. So either of these options are absolutely fine if you want to make lighter weights feel heavier, but you have lots of great opportunities to practice this in this workout. We have 3 total sets in this last circuit. Great job. When you get to the top of your rep range for your calf raises, once again, safely set down your weights, record the work that you did, and we'll move into our second set of squats. Stay hydrated, stay loose. Sometimes it helps to stretch your back out or even your forearms while you are doing workouts where you're holding weights in your hands, because of course you're strengthening your grip anytime you're holding any kinds of weights, right? Great job. I'm just doing some light finger stretches. As I stretch each finger back, it stretches up the muscles of my forearm as well. Super handy. Nice job. Now, second set of squats, here's an opportunity to refine the amount of resistance, right? So I invited you to be in the 8 to 12 rep range. If you were easily able to go past 12, well, this time I'd invite you to add something heavier, or each time you come down in your squat, you could pause and then drive up, just like we did with the hip thrusts, just like we talked about with the calf raises. Adding the pause can help increase the challenge to your body. Now, for those of you who use barbells, I'll go ahead and demo in the second set with my bar. So set up for success with either your dumbbells or your barbell, whatever you are working with. It's the same great form, right? We're just distributing the weight slightly differently across our bodies. If you're using a barbell, you're gonna come underneath the bar, bracing the bar across your back. If you're holding dumbbells, they're up on your shoulders or at your sides. Feet are out just slightly wider than hip distance. We're gonna send our hips back and powerfully press the earth away from us. Same form, same move. You just have different options when it comes to how much resistance you use. Like I said, for anyone who's trying to progress and wants to make their lighter weights feel heavier, you can add that pause at the base of your squat. You might even want to count to 3 slowly before you come up from each squat. You could also add a micro pulse at the base of your squat as long as you don't sacrifice your core. We want to have a very stable pelvis when we are doing a squat. It's very beneficial because it helps to ensure that as we come down and up, we're driving those bones and muscles in a nice even pattern, right? So stabilizing through the core is going to help stabilize the back, help stabilize the pelvis, and you're gonna feel better and get more out of your squats. Now, when you get to the top of your rep range, you can set aside your weighted objects safely, take a breather, and we will be preparing to move on to our calf raises, round 2. Catch your breath. And if you're like me, with weights everywhere in between your sets is always a great opportunity to clean up your space, do a little stretching or self-care. The reason we don't want to rush forward to each move is because we want to get as much as we can out of each move that we do. So if we're recovered enough for the next move, then we will get the most out of it. We'll get the most muscle recruitment, we'll be able to go harder, and that translates into workout timing and scheduling as well. If we do too many workouts on back-to-back days, we don't get as good of a result. And this is why when I write my programs, I'm making sure that you have the perfect schedule to challenge your body effectively and recover effectively so you get the rewards of the work that you did. Calf raises round 2. Set yourself up for success. I'm using my barbell just to load myself up even more, but I could just as easily be using those dumbbells, same as I did in the first set. Let's go, rock stars. 8 to 12 reps. Using this as another calibration opportunity to challenge yourself further. Have some fun with this. I mean, we're challenging ourselves, right? We are testing our own mettle. We're watching ourselves get stronger over time. I think this is one of my favorite things about these progressive style challenges and keeping track of my progress as I go, because I really do love to have something to look forward to. I want to watch myself get stronger. I want to watch you get stronger. I want to watch you be super successful. And that is exactly what we are doing in this challenge and what we do in every challenge inside Rock Your Life. Whew! When you get to the top of your rep range, I want you to set aside your weight, record the work you did. We're going to move on to one last set of squats. And for this last set of squats, I invite you to bring yourself into a 6 to 10 rep range. If you're not already having to stop at 10 reps, what would it take to get you to have to stop at 10 reps? Maybe it's adding some extra pauses at the bottom of your squats. Maybe it's adding a little bit more resistance. Woo! 6 to 10. That means that you could do at least 6 reps, but it's very hard to go past 10. This is your last set, rock stars. Make it your best one yet. Make it count. Challenge your body. Be where you are at. And we're going to set up for success, getting our weight evenly balanced across our shoulders. Whether you have dumbbells up on your shoulders or even at your sides. We've got that nice braced core as we squat, and then we press the earth away from us. Now, I like that cue a lot because it helps me really remember where this movement happens, right? So we bend our knees, and then as we press our feet into the ground, we recruit a ton of glute muscles. Our quads are working, our calves are working, and we want to really keep track of that braced core. So braced core as in braced for a punch, not sucked in, right? We don't forget to breathe. It's very important to keep breathing. If it helps you to think about your breath, you can breathe in as you come down in the squat, breathe out as you come up. Nice job. And when you get to the top of your rep range with your squats, where it's very tough to do more, you can set aside your weight safely with control, and we will move on to our last set of calf raises. Oh, you have just been cooking your way right through this challenge today. And calf raises, last set, best set. Here we go. Set it up so that you're using the amount of resistance that challenges you in that 8 to 12 rep range. And remember the variations I showed you where you could do a single side or you could do the pause at the top. Great work. Lift and lower. Important with the calf raise not to rock around. So you want to come straight up and straight down. You want to make sure that you're aligned, coming down through those ankles. Think about the entire weight of your body comes down through your ankle joints every day as you walk around. And we sort of take that for granted, right? We want to have strong ankles and strong knees. And we want to strengthen the muscles that wrap around and strengthen them. So we want to make sure when we're training like this that we have a strong foundation. So tune into your foot alignment. Now, when you get to the top of your rep range, with that last set of calf raises. Set aside your equipment, record the work that you did, and just give yourself a big old pat on the back for job well done. Now in Rock Your Life, we do a quick cool down stretch together. Love to have you join us for this, so grab the link just below this video and join Rock Your Life for the Fall into Fitness Challenge today, and take advantage of everything else that we surround you with inside of Rock Your Life, including hundreds of healthy recipes to make sure that you are fueling up around your workouts for the best benefit and recovery for your body. Tons more videos from our collection if you want to do stretching videos on the side. You'll have access to all of our other challenges, so that not only will you have a great experience with this challenge, but of course your progression will be all mapped out for you, and you can choose whatever path you want to take next. Not only that, all of my challenges in Rock Your Life have custom schedules for you, whether you're in your cycling years, perimenopause, or postmenopause. They've been thoughtfully designed to help you get the best results no matter what life stage you're in. So check us out in Rock Your Life and join the Fall into Fitness Challenge today. I can't wait to see you there and continue progressing with you, Rockstar. Thanks for joining me. As always, I'm Betty Rocker, and you are so awesome, blossom, and amazing.